Sliders and dials can be a fun alternative to using buttons to reveal layers of information, and I'm going to share with you some interesting ways you can customize them in your course. Here's an example of what a slider interaction might look like with just some minor tweaks to the default colors and appearance. And here's what a more customized slider might look like. A dial is similar to a slider in functionality, except that instead of moving along a track, you rotate the object in a semicircle or in a complete circle. However, a dial can also be customized to look a little bit more interesting, like you see here. Let's take a look at how to build these, starting with the slider. So we're going to begin with a slider that's just been added to the slide using some of the default properties. I just went up here to the Insert tab, navigated over here to where it says Slider, and then selected the one in the middle. What I'd like to do is just update the look and feel so it fits in a little better with the type of training I'm doing, which happens to be on manufacturing. So I want to change that square thumb that you see on the slider right now into a gear. The first thing I'm going to do is figure out what picture I want to use of a gear, and I could even use the content library if I wanted to. So we could go up here to icons and type in the word gear, or if I wanted to use maybe an illustration for a little more oomph, I think that's a really nice one right there. I'll go ahead and click insert. So I want to make sure that I export this as a picture that I can grab off my computer a little bit later. So let's just go ahead and right click and export it and save it as an image called gear. And now what I'm going to do is select that slider, and we're going to go up to the Slider Tools Formatting option in the toolbar. Let's select from the thumb fill, and then I'm going to select the option for picture. We're going to navigate to that picture of the gear icon that I just saved to my computer and select open. And now it's replaced the default thumb. There is a little bit of a border around it, and I can get rid of that pretty easily just by going up here to thumb border and say no outline. Now I can resize the actual thumb as well as the height of the track using the yellow handles that you see on the slide. The yellow handle at the top here allows me to change the size of the icon or the thumb that I've just created. And then the yellow handle on the left here allows me to control the height of the track. So now I want to make sure that when somebody is interacting with this slider and they're dragging the thumb along its path, it's hitting each of the stops where I want it to. And here's a little trick for making sure that that happens. Typically we'll have some set of instructions or an indicator of some sort at the very beginning of the slider. I've already got this on the slide, I've just hidden it, so let me go ahead and unhide it. We want to make sure that the center of the thumb is aligned with those instructions. So I can go ahead and grab the slider and use my mouse to position it somewhere in the middle. Then I'm going to grab the thumb and drag it to the very end, to the very last stop. And I also want to make sure that here the center of the thumb aligns with the center of the last stop. So I can use my mouse to do that as well, but if I find that it's a little difficult to get it precise, I might go up here to the size and position tools and work with those to make sure we line it up properly. Once we have the initial and the last step lined up with the thumb, we should find that the thumb is hitting all of the other steps where we would like it to. So then just spend some time formatting the slider and doing any other design changes that you'd like to make, and when you're ready to preview, you'll see that you have a really nice, professional looking but engaging interaction. To create a custom dial, I'm going to take a slightly different approach, and in this case I'm going to start with the image that I want to turn into a dial. In this case I kind of like the idea of a wrench, since again we're in manufacturing. So now that I have the object on my slide, I'm going to select it and navigate up here to Insert, Dial, and select Convert to Dial. This will add the arc to the object, and I'm going to have to make a few adjustments just like I did with the slider, starting with how many stops I have in this interaction and how far I want it to turn. Currently it's set with a default rotation of 180 degrees so that it goes halfway, and I'm happy with that, so I'm just going to leave it as is. But if I wanted it to turn in a full circle, I could change that number to 360. I'm going to change the end value to 4 because we only have 4 stops, and I'm going to set the initial value to 0. In this case, I want the wrench to start from an upright position, so I'm actually going to grab the dial and look for the green flag, and then we're going to take the green flag and position it exactly where we want it to start. From here, I'm going to take a look at what it looks like when somebody interacts with this. Because depending upon the picture that you put in your dial, you may want to make additional adjustments. In this case, I'm seeing that the wrench is turning from the center of the handle, where I'd prefer that it would turn from the end of the handle right here. And this is another quick adjustment that I can make. I'm going to grab the crosshair that you see right here and adjust the axis so that it turns from here. And maybe make a couple of other slight adjustments just to make this look and feel more realistic. But once I do, I now have a functioning dial. I just have to go ahead and add those triggers to show the different layers, and it'll look really great. We hope you found this helpful, and have fun customizing your sliders and dials.